Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Friday Walkthrough. Happy New Year to everybody. I am not going to say the dumb thing where we're see you next year, because those people should be put in a hole and not invited to any parties whatsoever. The liquid death is cracked. I'm going with the bubbly because it is a celebration after all. We are ending 2021, and we are glad that you are joining us, and hopefully you're joining us at the Henry James Saloon as we hopefully, I'm going to say hopefully, but very confidently, as the Eagles march themselves into the playoffs. What's going on, Vince Quinn? Good morning. No breakfast for you?
So for right now, liquid death for breakfast. I've had two.
It's a good breakfast.
And, so I have half of a roast beef sandwich that's sitting in my brother's fridge. So that might be breakfast. We'll see how I handle things. But yeah, I'm in DC right now, by the way. So I'm in DC hanging out. I drove past RFK Stadium, which is like this giant, ugly mess of a rusted, terrible building with giant advertising on it, which is even funnier. People are buying billboards on a totally dilapidated stadium. But that's nice. DC. That's DC, baby. So the whole thing is a bit of a clown show. But otherwise, to be down here and just getting ready for this game, man, there's a lot of fun stuff to get into. And obviously, I want to start because we were talking before the show, and you said you had this tweet from Mike K with all these records. Do you have that on you? As you're chopping on some bacon?
Gotta have the bacon, man. Gotta have the bacon. Carrie, it's nice and warm right here. I got some breakfast burritos.
Nice.
Some fresh onion. It's delicious. But yeah, Mike K doing an incredible job this year, I must point out, because he is just steamrolling through all the beats, in my opinion. But putting up this morning, the Eagles have a lot of records on the line. A lot of single-season records where, especially with the rushing game, I mean, we should all kind of know that by now because that's all they've been doing to win football games. 160 more yards, first of all, yards. But for rushing, I mean, that's kind of incredible for this day and age. In this era, they're going to break a record since 1949. All they need is 160 more yards total to break that record. 5 rushing touchdowns to set a new single-season record as well. So that makes me very happy. It means Jalen Hurts' legs has been useful, as we've been predicting. Just 60 more points total over the next 2 games. So if they put up 30 against Washington, another 30 against Dallas, win or lose, they're going to break the 2017 point total, the Super Bowl, accumulation of points, which is pretty crazy to think about. And Devontae Smith, and I know it's another yards record, so I'm going to make that face again, but 92 more yards to break Deshaun Jackson's rookie record. So that I think is pretty incredible as well. And I don't know, Devontae Smith, man, for as much as gone on this entire season, to me, this is one of the best things that could happen in terms of breaking a record of some sort and just letting everybody know that this guy has been for real for a long time, along with the rushing attack. That is one of the best bright spots to me in 2021 there, Vince, is Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely insane, man. They drafted a rookie wide receiver that's not just good. Honestly, he's probably the best talent they've drafted since, Harold Carmichael?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a legitimate Hall of Fame talent right now. The guy that he's about to pass, thinking about Deshaun and how good he was when he came out as a rookie. I mean, my God, man. Deshaun was so good as a rookie, and you could just see how electric he was. Punt returns and the big play against Dallas where he drops the ball at the 1-yard line and all that kind of stuff. But you saw him play, and it was undeniable that Deshaun was a great talent the second they got him. And Devontae Smith has been the same thing. And when you think about the Eagles for all these years and all the problems at wide receiver, going back to, I don't know, the glory days of Todd Pinkston and James Thrash and blowing it with Freddie Mitchell. Reggie Brown had a year and a half maybe where he was good. And then it was nope, he stinks too. And so when all of those guys, Travis Fulgham, you go through the list of Eagles receivers for the past 20 years. And honestly, for all the T.O. talk, I get sick of it, man. I thought T.O. sucked. I'm sorry. I know he was a great player. He was a great player.
Whoa. Okay. We can't be just throwing that out there this early in the morning here.
Yes. Yeah. No, T.O. sucked as somebody for the franchise. Was he an elite player in the Super Bowl and all that stuff? Yes, duh. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should have been. They pushed him to the second. That's neither here nor there. But I hate people talking about romanticizing T.O. It happened so much because they haven't had a good receiver in a while, right? Like Jeremy Maclin was really good. Deshaun was great. So to have those guys, I mean, that was a nice little run, but it's been a big gap since then. So to have a young guy right off the bat that's matching Deshaun, it's like, thank God. I mean, just the level of relief about that is like really great to me. And you think about what, like, Devontae Smith could do this for what, like 13 years in Philly? I mean, a lot of these guys, it's like
let's just go with 5. Let's just go with 5. No, 5's fine for now. Let's not 13. Expect 13 out of a wide receiver. You know, that's Larry territory.
It's right. And the next 5 are going to be with Russ, so there's going to be that, and then it's going to be the other 8 and what he does with those. We'll figure that out. But yeah, man, I mean, this is a top of the line, Heisman-winning SEC wide receiver. That's just like the fact that he's going to pass this record. On track to pass this record is just super exciting.
He'll pass it.
Yeah. Right? I mean, you're talking 91 yards. He's 92, technically. 92 yards gets him the record, and he's got 2 games to do it, which is like kind of sort of on the fence. But you think Sirianni, you think Sirianni's going to force the record? Do you think he's going to push for it? Because I like the Lane thing. He was kind of like, it was a little bit of a nod to Lane. It's like, hey, he didn't get in the Pro Bowl. Let's kind of give him a chance here. So I wonder if they're going to actually try to get him the ball like that, you know?
I would think so. You know, I mean, and well, I don't think you even need to force 90 yards at all. I think that'll just happen naturally. That's like 3 or 4 passes, honestly, the way that they kind of treat him on. He's your 13-yard guy. He isn't getting like a lot of intermediate stuff. And honestly, if you just fling him a ball on a screen or a bubble screen, a tunnel screen, something like that, and just let them loose and get themselves. I think he could possibly break that this weekend easily, especially on Sunday. So, but I don't think there's anything forcing here because like it's not just Devontae Smith on the line. You have everybody that's going to break records for this offense. And what is that? We've been kind of getting into that a little bit, right? Like, what does that tell us about this offense overall? On the old Facebook, because we're here live as we are every Friday. And you can join us on any platform that you so choose. But, I mean, this offense keeps getting more efficient. There's all these, records that are going to be broken in the rushing game. Does that really tell us anything? Or is that like it was a year for offenses? Everybody's going to run. But it makes me feel good about where the direction in which the offense is going. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, the amount of drugs that this season is on for the Eagles offense right now to score more than 2017, they're going to score more points than the 2017. Like, how are they going to out? If they do it,
and they're flirting with 500. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you still have do you have the exact figure of how many points behind they are for the 2017 team? I got to know what that number is.
Oh yeah, 60.
60. Okay,
exactly,
so
60 points. Yeah.
So it'll probably take them 1 extra week to do it, but thinking about the fact that they're in that range is like completely insane to me. It just doesn't make any sense. So you love to see that, but yeah, like the record stuff, it's just the foundation of all of this is working, right? Like for all of these things that we've been wondering, questioning up and down all throughout the season, ultimately. You got a good base here, and that's the best part of all of this. It's like, okay, the running game is not just good, it's historically great. All these linemen, a lot of these core guys, they're young guys. Jack Driscoll, Nate Herbig. You go to Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata. Like, those guys are young, man. So when you see most of your line is backups and youth, and they're dominating on a historic level, that's really amazing. Because you think about all these Eagles teams over the years, do they run as much as you want? Not really. But they've always had great offensive lines. And to think that this line is like that good in a very crowded, busy area of like elite offensive lines, man, it's special. It's really special.
Tony Cotillo making a great point here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to Tommy as well. They're saying, what's up, boys? All those points, and people still won't want Hurts back. That's pretty crazy. Hint, hint. Vince Quinn, nudge, nudge. But I get it. Between Hall of Fame quarterbacks, we won't have to get into that for a millionth time. But yeah, exactly.
Small note, because here's the thing. Russ did say this could be his last game in Seattle. I'm just saying.
Thank you for printing the obvious headline, for everybody there. Vince and Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Yeah, we know you're leaving. We know you're leaving.
Yep.
You've been wanting to leave ever since Richard Sherman probably called you really awful things in the locker room, is what I'm assuming. So, yes. Duh.
Yes.
But it is crazy how efficient this offense is, I guess, in numbers. But, man, it is taking a lot of people to get there with the eye test or like this isn't good enough. And I really would, at the end of the year, here's one of my resolutions for Eagles Twitter. Go back and watch every other football game that isn't the Eagles and come back and watch the Eagles after that. I'm going to do the same thing because it's just not adding up for me. Either. Like, I love it, but to say that this is just as good of an offense as the 2017, and it's not what people are saying. They're just saying it's probably just as efficient, and I'm going, whoa. So we are really missing the step on a lot of things here, and which is to me is really exciting to see where this ends up going in 2022, no matter if it's Russ or Hurts or whatever. But the overall thing, the best thing that happened to the Eagles out of all this discussion, to me, is Devontae Smith. Like, it probably hasn't been said enough. And like you were going exactly like when you were naming Reggie Brown and you were naming all those different guys that have come in between, and to get that humongous drink of water for the wide receiver position for the Philadelphia Eagles is very few and far between. Like, if you look at just 1,000-yard receivers in the history in single season, there's not many on there. Barely anything. Like, you'll have your Mike Quick. I think Kevin Curtis is one of those guys that had a 1,000-yard season.
Yes, I love that.
Macklin is one of them. Deshaun is one of them. But that's pretty much it. I mean, Harold Carmichael, I'm sure, got on there a couple of times, but there's only like 4 or 5 guys in the history of the franchise that have hit that mark to begin with. So this should be celebrated up and down, left and right, for all the complaining that we have done about this position and the misses and the should have haves and why don't we have this nice thing and that nice thing. There is a beautiful, gorgeous wide receiver that will always, always be a part of this franchise. Now, Vince, there's, I think, 5, conservatively, but this is a guy and who will probably remind us a lot of the advanced version of Jeremy Macklin. I think when we were talking to the Vet Alumni Podcast guys, which go listen to that, we had a great time with them on their latest episode. He kind of is that Doug Baldwin guy for this team and that Seattle run and whatever. He's a little more nasty than I think people give him credit for. He's an obvious, perfect, almost route runner, and that's his floor. So it's like pretty crazy that's where we're starting with this. And he can be a 1A. He is a 1A because he can play in so many different spots and be comfortable there. So I know that Michael Parsons is in everyone's eye. And man, dude, me and Vince were talking about this beforehand. I can't wait till the end of the year until they're actually running the football against Dallas. And I want them to just boat race Michael Parsons out of the game plan, even if it's just a quarter, and can all get back to appreciating Devontae Smith the correct way, because we haven't done that enough this year. He's the best thing that's happened to this team. And yes, I'm saying that over check marks over Jalen Hurts all over the place, which is probably the right answer. But for me, Devontae Smith is the best thing that's happened to this team in 2021, Vince Quinn.
Yeah, and I want to get into my best thing in 2021 in just a second. But first, the side note with rookie records and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, so, yes.
Micah Parsons is on track right now to get the rookie sack record. Now,
what?
Think about this. Yes, he's on track right now, which is crazy. So,
of course.
He's got 13 right now. The record's 14 and a half. Now, if you don't know who has the rookie sack record, this is a really fun name. It's Javon Curse. Javon Curse, former Eagle, which everyone's like, wait, oh, yeah, I remember when we signed Curse. Like, it was such a big, exciting thing when they did it, and then he was kind of hurt and not the same guy as he was in Tennessee and whatever. But Micah Parsons could be trying to get the rookie sack record against the Eagles in Week 18. And if he does that, the takes are going to be through the roof. But when you think about the fact that Parsons is doing that and Smith is going to set the Eagles receiving record in the same year, and they don't even throw the ball all that much, that's really, that's why you look at this and go like, no, everything's fine. There was no regrets with Devontae Smith. It was totally the right pick. So just a fun little side story with all that kind of stuff. But honestly, John, for me, the best thing about 2021 implosion. Implosion was the best thing of this year. Getting rid of Doug, getting rid of Wentz, eating all that dead money. It's the best thing that could have happened to him. Because now you look at this whole new team, like, I would rather have Sirianni. Honestly, right now, I think Sirianni's a better coach than Doug Peterson. I do. So seeing everything that he's been able to accomplish and where this team is, I'm telling you. Yep.
Man, people are going to, dude, listen, it was Doug's time. Like, just like it was Andy's time or whatever it was. Like, it wasn't going to work. So I'm with you on the implosion part. And as a big fan of Tool in the song Schism, that's like exactly what this season was about, is breaking it all down just to build it back up again, and et cetera, et cetera. Yes, 100%. But man, if you're telling me, I don't think so. We're going to regret Andy or Doug, just like we did with Andy, just on a smaller scale, because I do think he's going to either get that job in Seattle when Pete gets fired after this mess, or he retires, or he's going to go take the job in Jacksonville. And although I don't think he's a mastermind, he's exactly what like a culture shift would need. Like, think Mark Brunell and Tom Coughlin in whenever that was, 2004 or 3 or 2 or whenever, or the 90s. Man, that was way too far ahead. But turning that around. So, like, man, even Ryan Doyle is agreeing with you, and I think that's ridiculous. Like, I don't think so yet. I think there's a way more creative mind in Nick Sirianni, absolutely. But in terms of being a better coach, let's hit the brakes, shall we? This guy won a Super Bowl with 2 quarterbacks.
With Frank Reich. You're welcome. He's doing great, by the way. Yeah. Frank Reich's just the master. Anyway, that's all. Yes, he is. What do you mean? On. Yes, he's doing a great job in Indy. They're doing just fine. So yes, but anyway, implosion was the best thing for this team. Yeah, it was easy for me. I mean, to be able to get rid of all the junk of the Wentz baggage and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's nice now to actually be in a situation where enough people are on board with Hurts at this point. Like, it's now the overriding opinion seems to be, let's bring Hurts back and build around him and see where everything goes. So to see some level of like unity, you get some look at what Hurts actually is. You see how talented, because now, like, unfortunately, you had all these injuries along the way, but you see all this depth on the offensive line, and these guys can play. So seeing the core of the team is in place, you got a head coach that I've now started to respect and believe deserves the job. Like, all that stuff is coming around, which, again, does not speak highly of how I feel about Doug. But all that stuff coming around, man. I mean, the Eagles are in just such a good spot. Now, here's my worst thing. Here's worst thing for me in 2021. And if you have thoughts in the comments, by the way, as we're doing this live, feel free to chime in as well.
Yeah, and I do want to make this clear that a good friend and Bell and the Birdmen member, Ian Tolino, is saying, well, good morning, first of all. And Vince, you didn't say you were in D.C. voluntarily. Are you being held hostage in a basement? And blink if you're okay, essentially, because
no, John, I'm not being held hostage in Washington. It's not. No, I totally decided to be in this basement on my own. Everything is fine. Yes,
if you're listening on the podcast, there might be some head shaking, as in the form of yes. So good to know that I didn't see him blink, Ian. So I'm not convinced that he's not in trouble yet either. But yes,
my blinking is like uncomfortable. I can't wink either. Can you wink? Do you know how to wink?
Of course. Left, right, left, right,
dude.
left, right. Yeah, we're good. We're good there.
Looks good.
Yeah.
That's a good
wink. You've never been. You can't wink.
Like, my whole face goes when I can't, like,
so you blink when you wink is what you're saying.
I can't. It's just like my whole face moves in a weird way, and it has no coordination whatsoever. I can't do it. I've never been able to wink, and I can't. I've never blown a bubble with gum either.
What in the world? Oh, we have to write all these things down. Never seen the program, can't blink, and has never blown a bubble with bubble gum. It's all Botox. It's all Botox, right. Ian. See, man. Unbelievable. Well, the worst thing in the world would be if Vince Quinn got kidnapped on New Year's Eve. Let's just point that out, because we still have a few hours left in the year. So let's hope that's not happening. But in terms of the worst thing that happened to the Eagles, and I have a feeling we're all going to be upset by this, by the way you set this up. So, like, what is the worst thing that happened to the Eagles this year?
Well, no, I think this is a pretty universally agreed upon thing. It's Brandon Graham going down for the year.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Right? It's just been devastating. I mean, their ability on the defensive line to not get a pass rush in a lot of games this year, that they've missed Brandon Graham, man. And it just obviously, like, the chemistry that he brings to the locker room, everybody loves him. Reporters love him. Fans love him. He's just, he is it's like him and Kelsey, like those guys are the Eagles in so many ways. And so to not have him this year and have to play like Ryan Kerrigan, maybe Ryan Kerrigan is actually the worst thing about 2021. They signed this guy from Washington. He's got 3 tackles, I think, on the season.
3.
Like, how is that possible? I have no idea.
Yeah, at least you got something for Joe Flacco when you gave him $5 million. That was literally dead money. Yeah.
Yeah. And at least, like, Brandon Graham's still around in the locker room. You know, he's not on the field, so it's a little bit different, but he's still around. And, like, unfortunately, Ryan Kerrigan's still around. He's so bad.
Sorry, Ryan.
Both of those guys are my worst thing, I guess, of 2021. What do you got?
Yes. I take that back. People are going to be mad at me about the worst thing that happened to the Eagles, so I want to say something real nice about something that is great, and especially for New Year's Eve tonight and for the future when you're ever throwing parties, because this bad boy right here, I'm holding the black and gold Liquid Death can at 16.9 ounces that has one of the most impactful bubble punches in seltzers, by the way. Like, I'm a big, huge bubble believer. There's only a certain amount of bubblage that needs to go up and through. Vince is displaying the wonderful mountain water from the Alps. Well, they both have mountain water from the Alps in them.
Certainly are.
But that one, the flat version is so crisp and clean, and it belongs in cans. Water to go belongs in cans because it's 100% recyclable. It's one of the best reasons why you purchase Liquid Death in the first place, and the most important reason is it tastes amazing. It's clear, it's fresh, just like you would expect from any type of water company. But of course, this goes the extra mile, and you can convince anybody that this is liquor tonight, especially if they've had too much and you need to do a quick swap in and out. Give them some bubbles and be like, oh yeah, this is a crazy new seltzer that everyone's drinking. Those alcoholic seltzers, this one's got malt liquor. It's 8 ounces, and they'll sip it up like, wow, this tastes like water, and be like, yeah, because it is. Now go sit down and not have a headache. And the same with the flat as well. Make that vodka, make that tequila, make it a martini, a fake martini. Like, oh yes, the Liquid Death martini, and shove it right over to somebody, and they'll drink it down. Say this too, to be safe, be very safe tonight. And do not drink and drive at all, and make sure that there is Liquid Death to pass out all across the land. And the best way that you can help us out is going to liquiddeath.com/bell. You get free shipping on every case that you order. And they are one of the best companies I've ever dealt with. And Vince knows that because I've been talking about them for so long, and now he understands it and knows why they kick ass, and so appreciative that they're a part of the podcast, man. So thank you so much. I say all that to say this. The worst part of this Eagles season is that running the ball was successful. And now we have to restart from ground fucking zero on what actually matters in modern day football. And although I appreciate the records that they're going to break, and I love Jalen Hurts' legs and all of that, Miles Sanders was a waste of fucking time. This whole thing of, getting all this triple action running attack, and this is how you can win football games, and please go rebuild the defense. And our good friends, Bigger Than the Game, were live streaming the Fog Bowl last night, and it's bringing all these Buddy Ryan memories back in and being like, yes, remember simpler times when we could run efficiently and have good defense. And I'm going, oh my God. We're completely reverting. So, unfortunately, I have to say, despite the successes given the Philadelphia Eagles and this playoff run here, and it's the right thing to do for this year, if this is the philosophy moving forward, I am done with this podcast. Slam it down. Shove it out. I need passing attack. I need more wide receivers. I need Dallas Goedert game plans. I need Devontae Smith game plans. Give me the fucking air raid, please. This has got to stop next year.
Well, it looks like I need a new co-host. So 215-509-5833 is how you'll literally join the show, and you will take John's spot. 215-509-5833.
But isn't that like, I know there's somebody out there that feels the exact same way of like, oh my God, we've got to go through this again. We've got to start all over again.
Your anti-run propaganda is hilarious to me. I like, dude, I generally I would get it, but when you're getting big plays the way that they do, I mean, like talking about the 2017 offense and how they're on pace to at least like they could pass that mark if they get 60 points in the next 2 weeks. If they were running the ball from the start of the season the way they were now, they'd pass 2017. They would have passed it already.
That's a good point.
That's efficiency. All you want out of all of this, regardless of how it looks, is you want efficient, high-scoring offenses. They're good in the red zone with the running game, at least. They can't pass. The passing in the red zone stinks. But they're good at running the ball in the red zone, and they're able to get those big plays and move down the field, get first downs all the time. All that stuff works, you know? So it's a really good thing compared to Russ, who has 3rd and 8 every down, and he's having a really hard time over there. And if Doug goes to Seattle, he's definitely coming here. Now, yeah, the running stuff, man, again, it's like part of it is the foundation of everything. The offensive line is that good that it really doesn't matter who the running back is, and you're going to get 8 yards on carries all the time. So to have that and think like, oh, what's it going to look like when they sign Marlon Mack? Well, now you know that everything's going to be good. So I'm just playing the hits today. So you know everything's going to be good. But I love all. I know you hate it, but honestly, dude, they're going to run a good bit next year. They're still going to do it a lot. Probably not as much, but they're going to run a good bit next year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Run the ball works too well. So now it's going to be like, oh God. It just needed to just be not be on pace to break an all-time single season record. But because of that, like that's the talking point all off season. You know what I would do, guys? I would really consider drafting a running back in the 1st round. That's what I would do. You know, I mean, what's the difference? You're at the bottom anyway. It's the 2nd round. Like all of it. And I keep getting like way and way down the line of like not even wanting running backs anymore. No linebackers, no running backs. And by the way, actually, can I add a bonus mention for the best thing in 2021? Yeah. No one is mentioning the linebackers on a playoff run, by the way. So shut up. They don't matter. The offense matters. The efficiency of this, that's what this team is about. Stop trying to rebuild the defense. I'd like a public apology from literally everyone that ever said anything bad about me or linebackers this year. That's another bonus for 2021. Sorry.
Well, TJ Edwards has been great since they actually put him in the starting lineup, and it's nice to not talk about them anymore.
What was his draft capital, by the way?
Yeah, what was he? He was undrafted.
Oh, yeah, UDFA. Thank you very much. Okay, good. Glad we had that combo. Let's put that in a box and shove it under the bench.
There we go. And yeah, other things that aren't talked about much. Gary wants Jordan Howard to get a lifetime contract, so there's that. There you go, Gary.
There you go, Gary.
He's been crushing it.
Happy New Year to you, buddy.
That's a fun little storyline. So let's do this for a couple of minutes, John. Let's talk about John Madden, because obviously John Madden passing the other day, and like I don't know about you, but honestly, I'm not doing this show with you right now. I've never hosted at WIP, CBS Sports Radio. Like, I've never done anything sports related in my life if it's not for John Madden. Like, singular, most responsible person for all this. Because I remember watching football on Sundays, like being around Eagles fans and kind of getting the vibe and the energy and the excitement of a game and learning the sport a little bit. But, dude, I played Madden all the time. I mean, all the time. Franchise mode with all these different teams. And that's really the thing. Like, for me, growing up, I was an Eagles fan first and foremost, but I loved the league. Like, playing Madden and learning playbooks and different route options and all that kind of stuff. Learning that through Madden got me so invested in the sport that, like, I had a Marshall Faulk jersey as a kid. I had a Dan Marino. I had a Brett Favre. My brother had a Derek Thomas jersey from the Kansas City Chiefs. Like,
hell yeah.
We were just into the league. And to be able to learn the league like that and go like, oh, this guy's really fast, and here's this lineman that's on this team, and he's 24, and maybe I'm going to trade for that guy, and learning trade values and all that kind of stuff. It's just like the ability for him to shape the game that way and then change football and build a whole generation of fans that probably wouldn't have been nearly as locked in. Like, would I have been an Eagles fan my whole life? Absolutely. But would I have really known guys like Trung Candidate, like some random 7th round running back for the Rams? Would I have given a shit if it wasn't for Madden? Not even close. So I just, like, for me, Madden was such a life-changing thing. And I was really sad when I heard that news, man. I mean, that hit me hard.
Yeah, I think it, and as it should for everybody, because like we're all in that generation of, it's really crazy to go back and look at all the footage and all the things that he was saying in the 80s and 90s about the game then, because like you listen to that now and it's just like, yeah, I don't, if you've never experienced John Madden before, like if you were born in the 2000s and above, essentially, there was, stuff that's being said that's very like, well, that's very childlike football knowledge, but back then that was not common. Like he brought that into the living room, and just like Vince was saying, made you obsessed with wanting to know more about like, oh, the steam coming off of somebody's head and why that is. It's just very approachable, and honestly, maybe it's just that, I mean, this football lends itself to kind of just having a more relaxed conversation, not be as stuffy anyway, I feel like. But football and John Madden was the only one to make it a very casual conversation as a wormhole into, I want to learn more about this game. The only one to do it. And like, there were baseball games around, and there were, hockey games around and stuff like that, but no one really invested into like, look how cool our sport is. And John Madden was the one that did that. Between that and NFL Films, like, how are you not a football fan between Steve Sable and John Madden? Those are the two guys that, do belong on Mount Rushmores for all this. There is no way there is a Bell and the Birdmen podcast with all of us wanting to learn more and more now, like about the advanced analytics and what West Coast offenses mesh with spread and all these other different things that we continuously spiral out from the game, and it's all because of him. Like 100% because is that, and it happens all. It's just like all of a sudden, boom, that whole thing that was built, the man that built that's gone, and it was kind of very emotional 24 hours for everybody. And I haven't even had a chance to watch the documentary, which everyone says is amazing. But
I gotta watch that too. I definitely want to watch that too. But that's the thing, man. You hit on everything. Like watching all the different clips that were going around. I was watching everything, and it's not often that I do that. Like to have that level of sentimentality. This was one of the guys that, again, it just really hit me. I mean, I remember being a kid, and every year when Madden was coming out, like I knew the day. I'd been waiting for it. I knew every new feature in the game. And I'd hop on my bike, I'd ride to GameStop, and the minute the GameStop was open, I bought Madden, I went home, and I'd play all day. And it just to be able to, because, I mean, think about this, right? He's building this video game. They're approaching John Madden about a video game in, like, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, and going, hey, we want this football game. And to be adamant that, like, no, it needs to be 11 on 11, and here's a playbook, and to teach all those concepts. Like, being a 12-year-old and being able to be like, yeah, that's cover 3, I know what that is, and that's cover 2, and they're doing safety blitzes, and that's what that looks like. And it just, learning all that stuff was, he taught, he really cared about teaching. And that's what made the game so great. It was so authentic. Like, you get other video games, and like NHL, it's hard to do that. What are you going to teach? Like on some level, it's just you're just zip, 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 zip. And you play games like NBA Street was really fun. They even had NFL Street back in the day, and that was fun. But it doesn't have that same fundamental, locked-in educational thing that's so much fun at the same time. And when you can make education entertaining, that's the highest level. Absolute highest level. And just not even as a football person, but just as a teacher, period, that guy's an inspiration. Like, he's the best.
Especially when you could, I don't even know like what, it's been a long time since I've even sat down with a new generation Madden, probably like 2016, 18, I can't even remember. But I remember you could build your own playbooks however you wanted to. You could take a playbook from the Ravens, be like, yep, nope, I want that one. That was really good. Miss that. You could come up with an entirely new play and put it in there as well, and just kind of really, 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 really get an understanding of all the terminology too, like silly stuff. I didn't know what PA meant as a kid. What the hell is PA? PA, tight end. Oh, play action. Okay, you learn the verbiage, and now that it's just crazy how far he advanced the sport in terms of terminology, in terms of knowledge, and without even thinking about it. So, very sad to see it go. And Gary's even said, "Oh, it's on Hulu." So if you haven't checked it out, I have not checked it out either. I'm going to go definitely do that. Also putting in the greatest pioneers ever: John Madden, William Wallace, Davy Crockett, and Abraham Lincoln in Madden's and Lead Company. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that.
There you go.
Don't know if he's of that ilk, but certainly in the football category, number one. Yes.
Yeah, he's absolutely up there. So a couple of things I want to do. First thing is Matt Maratea, who's with us at Bell and the Birdmen, hangs out on Sundays from time to time and runs the newsletter and does. I mean, Matt has been
phenomenal job
in the newsletter, dude.
Yeah.
He's been such a fun read the newsletter. I've been telling him every week. I'm like, dude, this is so great. I want to hug the guy. But when you see everything that he's done, so he just bought a couple of Madden Eagles cards. Because he was drafted by the Eagles. He was on the team for like 2 years. He had knee injuries and he couldn't play anymore, so he went into coaching. So we have right now 5 Madden trading cards. And what I want to do right now is I want to give away 3 of them. So here's what we're going to do, okay? Hit us up on the text line, 215-509-5833. I'm going to say this again, 215-509-5833. That's the number for the text line. And if you want to be in the running for a Madden trading card, one of those 3, text BOOM, okay? It's got to be BOOM, all caps. I demand all caps if you want to be in the running. So you have to text us in all caps. And what I'll do is once I get away from my captors in D.C. and out of this basement, then I will run through all of the submissions. That's going to be Saturday night. So you got until Saturday night, but you should probably just do it now because you'll forget, and that's what I do all the time. So BOOM, all caps, 215-509-5833. 5833. We're giving away 3 Madden trading cards. It's gonna be very fun. There we go.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and thanks to Matt not only for pulling the Madden cards, but just doing a terrific job all season long. Like, he's made me mad on some of the articles he's written, which is like perfect, and that's exactly where you want to be. And said some great ideas and towards like where he was the original one that was saying, why aren't you making Rager Cordell Patterson here? Which maybe we can see a little bit of that on Sunday, and as we kind of inch towards the playoffs, I think that's where you kind of need to put him in that Nelson Aguilar 2017 role, speaking of that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Sunday. Come hang out at the Henry James Saloon, free liquid death all game long, and get on the podcast with us. That's the fun part about being at the bar live, and certainly, it's going to be great to have a playoff run to cheer about if this soft tank is coming here, Vince. Quinn, any final thoughts here, pal?
Yeah, no, I just want to follow up on another fun thing that Matt said in the newsletter this week, actually. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter. We've got a lot of stuff in there. There's fun clips from what we do on Sundays, and we've got articles in there, the rent check.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of things going on in the newsletter, and you can find it on our Twitter profile. It's right at the top. But Matt was talking about comparing Jalen Hurts to different guys. And some of the comps that he threw out I thought were really interesting. And one of the guys that he was talking about comparing Jalen Hurts to, and I would love your thoughts on this, RG3.
Oh, my God. Of course he did. Of course he did, because Matt has no vision whatsoever. Why on earth? How is he RG3?
No. It's not saying he is RG3. Like, comparing him to see, if you're going to try to figure out how good he is, how successful he's been, how good can he be, like how did he compare to RG3 in his rookie year? That's the kind of guy that you should look at. Maybe look at Dak at his rookie year. Like, just try to find those better comparisons. He's sick of people comparing Hurts and Wentz, and I kind of get that.
Why are you it just happened. The year has still not been completed, and we're already sick of comparing the guy that left just 9 months ago?
Yeah. A little bit. I know it's going to keep happening, and I'll probably do it myself. But for him to be like, we should be comparing him to guys like RG3 and see how he stacks up there, I was like, oh, it's pretty interesting.
Against RG3? Good, I guess? That's
early RG3. I mean, our rookie
this
RG3
first year?
was amazing. Rookie RG3 was incredible. So I'm curious. I can't speak. I need to go back and look at the numbers and see exactly what his numbers were.
Okay, good.
Year. But that guy was a phenomenon, man. So I would be curious to see how they stack up.
See what I mean? It's just that Matt does a great job of thinking outside the box. Good for debates. And I want to thank everybody on the text line as well. Jerry, Marcel, Austin, Crane, Steve, happy birthday again, man. It was great to talk to you this week. Justin, I'm so sorry about the Tennessee. Did you see that yesterday? Man, did they get jobbed. They got jobbed hard. Ben, Stan, Jason, Brandon, Dominic, Matt, Justin, you guys have been phenomenal. Texas, as always, 215-509-5833. We love talking ball. And we will see you on Sunday at the Henry James Saloon. And if you're around the world, Steve and everybody else, Ryan in the UK, can't wait to see you there. Tall. Going to be a fun time. And Happy New Year to everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
Yep, and after the music, stay tuned for a little Jeremy and Jose if you're listening on the podcast. We'll see you.
Bye, guys.